Sunlight streamed through the window and fell on my face. I rubbed my eyes and stood up, still wearing a thin t-shirt. My heart was filled with anticipation and a hint of unease. Today, I would embark on my study abroad journey to Country M with my mother's friend. My mother's friend is named Su Hui, and according to my mother's relationship, I should call her Aunt Su, a charming woman in her 30s. She possesses a mysterious charm, her figure is graceful, and her features are well defined. Over the years, her diligent yoga practice has sculpted her body to resemble a work of art. When I arrived at Aunt Su's house, she was hosting a yoga live streaming class. I stood at the door, slightly stunned by the scene before me. Sunlight slanted through the window, elongating her figure. Her slightly glowing skin, the yoga outfit that outlined her perfect curves, and the strength and grace she exhibited in every movement captivated me. She noticed me, paused the yoga live stream, and walked over. I looked at her, those eyes full of passion and kindness, and I felt an unprecedented attraction, an impulse to know her better. On the plane, our seats were together. I secretly observed her. Her fingers gently played with the seatbelt, and those hands appeared so delicate yet strong. I imagined the elegance they displayed on the yoga mat. We talked a lot, from the culture of Country M to our dreams and expectations. I don't know if it was her confidence that influenced me, but I found myself opening up and sharing things I had never shared with anyone else. I noticed every little movement of hers, every expression felt so novel and attractive. I knew this was a special journey, and I began to cherish every moment we spent together. As time passed, our relationship became more intimate. She knew a lot about Country M and told me many things about the schools and customs there, things to pay attention to, and gave me valuable advice. I also tried my best to show my maturity and understanding. I began to slowly understand her depth and her unique beauty. Her beauty was not just in her appearance but also in her wisdom and the warmth that made people feel at ease. I found myself becoming more fascinated by her, not just because of her beauty and charm, but also her wisdom and strength. I knew this feeling was new, profound, and perhaps a new beginning. Soon, we arrived in Country M. In the house prepared by our parents, the place was large, and my room was only separated from Sue's by a dining room. I suddenly felt that this was my place of study, a world for just the two of us. We began to organize our luggage. Everything felt novel and exciting. We decorated our new home together, and this interaction made our relationship more intimate and enjoyable. I went to school, and Aunt Sue would take care of our daily lives. Most of the time, she would be at home watching TV and doing yoga live streams. One day, after Aunt Sue finished her live stream, she was in the kitchen organizing things while wearing tight yoga clothes, and her curvy figure made my heart race. I felt a fire rising within me, using the excuse of looking for food to get closer to Aunt Sue. Just as I entered the kitchen, suddenly she lost her balance and stumbled forward. I rushed over to catch her. Fear and concern filled my heart. In the process, we inevitably had some physical contact. My hand grabbed her waist, trying to steady her. Her body was warm, and her skin had a pleasantly soft feel. I don't know where my courage came from, but I took the opportunity to lift her up. She suddenly laughed, a very warm and comforting laugh, as if to reassure me not to be so nervous. She teased, "Oh, Xiaoyi, I didn't expect you to be so strong. You saved my life, my hero." I felt my cheeks warm. Her praise and joke left me a bit flustered, but it also made my heart race. I tried to smile, even though I knew my face was already flushed. I just didn't want you to get hurt. Our eyes met and I could see the smile and tenderness in her eyes. She gently patted my arm, signaling me to put her down. At that moment, I suddenly realized that I was holding her, and my aroused part was pressing against her back. Aunt Sue was not numb, she probably felt my strength. Thinking of this made me even more flustered. "You are such a good kid," she said with a smile, her eyes sparkling, making me feel that she was not just an ordinary adult, but a woman full of charm and vitality. I quickly set her down. Her face was flushed, soft, and I could still smell her fragrance. I struggled to stabilize my breathing and heartbeat, but I realized I had deeply fallen for Aunt Sue. As time passed, our relationship became more intimate and comfortable. One evening, we were watching TV together in the living room. She wore a simple and comfortable loungewear that highlighted her elegant figure. Of course, I also noticed her mature feminine aura. Her beauty and closeness made me start to lose myself, but I still tried to maintain a certain distance. We laughed and discussed the TV programs, sharing various light-hearted topics. At that moment, during a particularly touching movie scene, our hands unknowingly touched. She didn't immediately pull her hand back but let it stay there, and our fingers naturally intertwined. My heart began to race. I could feel the warmth and softness of her hand. At that moment, the whole world seemed to freeze, leaving only our breaths and heartbeats. After a while, she gently withdrew her hand, but her gaze revealed a deep understanding and acceptance. She smiled at me. Her eyes seemed to see through my heart, knowing all my secrets and desires. But she didn't say anything. She just smiled and continued watching TV. I can feel a silent promise, a secret that belongs only to the two of us. Every intimate touch, every smile, and exchange of glances makes me more certain that I have deeply fallen into this special relationship, a beautiful yet confusing maze. As night falls, the lights on the streets of M Country gradually illuminate, and the noise of the street slowly fades away. On my way home, Aunt Sue has already returned home ahead of me. Little did I expect that on this night, she would encounter an unexpected stranger. A man named Deco, a well-known thief in this city, despite committing crimes multiple times, still manages to escape the police's pursuit. He is accustomed to looking for temporarily unoccupied wealthy residences to steal from. Tonight, his target is our home. Aunt Sue has just finished a day of yoga live streaming and is looking to relax. Meanwhile, Deco sneaks into the house under the cover of darkness. When Aunt Sue walks towards the living room, she hears some faint noises. She stops alertly, her heart racing. She tries to turn on the light but finds that the power seems to have been cut off. In the darkness, her intuition tells her that something is about to happen, and at that moment, a strange figure appears in her line of sight. Deco immediately notices this beautiful woman, and his greed and lust are instantly aroused. Well, tonight's harvest is unexpectedly abundant. Deco taunts, his gaze fixed on Aunt Sue. Aunt Sue stands in the center of the living room, her heartbeat sounding like drums, feeling an unprecedented sense of crisis. Deco slyly surveys the entire room, his eyes filled with lust and mixed with greed. "You look delicious," Deco's voice is hoarse as he grins, revealing uneven yellow teeth. Aunt Sue tries to steady her emotions. "What do you want? Money? Jewelry? As long as you don't hurt me, I can give you anything." Deco slowly approaches her, watching her every move, enjoying her beauty in fear. "So beautiful, such a good figure, sexy, I like it." The 1.9-meter tall Deco approaches the petite Aunt Sue like a small mountain, even though Aunt Sue practices yoga and is very agile. But facing such a beastly man, Aunt Sue has no power to fight back. Deco roughly picks Aunt Sue up, lifting her high as if she were a toy doll. Aunt Sue wants to scream but has no chance. Deco throws her onto the living room sofa, and with a tearing sound, Aunt Sue's yogi outfit is as fragile as paper under Deco's pull. Soon, Aunt Sue's snow-white body is fully exposed before this black man, who has never seen such a fair-skinned woman, instantly unleashing his beastly nature. His massive body presses down on Aunt Sue like a mountain. At that moment, a sudden loud noise breaks the dangerous atmosphere. Deco turns around alertly, and Aunt Sue seizes the opportunity to rush to the window, shouting for help. People on the street stop, and some begin to call the police. I arrive at the doorstep and see that everything in the house is in disarray. My heart skips a beat. I rush into the house and find Deco trying to escape. We are caught in a chaotic struggle, and at this moment, the sound of police cars is getting closer. In this critical moment, Aunt Sue and I desperately delay Deco's escape. Although Aunt Sue is terrified, she still shows incredible courage and determination. She pulls at his clothes with all her might, while I stand at the door, determined not to let him escape. "Let go of me, you shameless bastards!" Deco roars, his eyes filled with rage and fear. Soon, the police rush in and quickly take control of the situation. Aunt Sue and I collapse to the ground, our heartbeats still echoing. At that moment, we experienced a terrifying yet unifying force together. The police later told us that Deco was not only a thief, but also a criminal looking for opportunities to commit more crimes. He had multiple prior convictions for murder and rape, and we felt fortunate that our courage and unity successfully stopped him. Aunt Sue tightly hugged me, and we both trembled, but we knew we had passed the most difficult moment. Her eyes were filled with gratitude, and in an instant, our relationship deepened and understood anew. "Thank you, Xiaoyi," she said in a weak and trembling voice. After the tension and chaos subsided, we nestled together, our heartbeats intertwining, like a silent proof that we had gone through this terrifying experience together. Aunt Sue held me, her delicate fingers tightly gripping the hem of my clothes. Her breathing was unstable, slightly hurried, conveying her inner tremor. I could feel her heartbeat, fast and strong, pounding against her chest. "Xiaoyi," she murmured softly, her voice mixed with a sob, making her seem exceptionally fragile. Her eyes were filled with various emotions, gratitude, respect, fear, all these emotions mixed together, forming a connection we had never experienced before. I gently stroked her head, trying to convey some comfort. My fingers glided through her hair, a faint, warm touch. Our gazes met, and her eyes revealed a barely perceptible deep affection. In this special moment, her beauty stood out even more, despite the traces of fear and fatigue. "It's okay, Aunt Sue, we are safe now." My voice was firm, but my eyes could not hide the deep concern and care for her. My heart was filled with a desire to protect her. I wanted to guard her and keep her from any harm. She smiled, a smile so gentle, fragile, and precious, like a flower blooming after a storm. She gently nodded and then rested her head on my shoulder, her breathing gradually stabilizing. We tightly embraced each other, finding a harbor of mutual support and comfort. That night, our house was bathed in soft light. Aunt Sue and I cooked together, and in that moment, we felt more like longtime friends than just relatives. She rolled up her sleeves, showcasing her graceful yet strong arms, which had just displayed incredible courage and strength. The kitchen was filled with various aromas, and I noticed that Aunt Sue's cooking skills were truly exceptional. Every movement showcased her elegance and proficiency. We laughed and chatted, sharing our terrifying experiences of the day and our feelings. Although today's events were shocking and terrifying, they also brought us an unprecedented closeness and understanding. During dinner, we sat together, feeding each other the prepared dishes. She gently picked up a piece of cooked chicken with chopsticks and brought it to my mouth, her movements tender yet decisive. Such actions, the gentle and simple touches, made this moment particularly special and romantic. As night fell, we cleared the tableware, preparing to end this eventful day. We stood at the door, looking at each other, her eyes revealing warmth and gratitude. "Good night, Xiao Yi," she said, her voice filled with tenderness and deep appreciation. "Good night, Aunt Sue," I replied, my heart full of respect and newfound warmth for her. I saw her gently nod, then turn and walk towards her room. We each returned to our rooms, carrying a new and profound sense of connection in our hearts. Although we were alone, that special bond and understanding remained in our hearts, a connection that transcended time and space, bringing us closer and helping us understand each other's souls and feelings. That night, I lay in bed, filled with thoughts of Aunt Sue and warm memories. Although we had both quietly fallen asleep, I could feel that special connection between us, making us more intimate and understanding of each other's inner thoughts and feelings. Just that night, I was startled awake by a sudden urgent shout. I jumped up quickly, waves of concern and unease surging in my heart. I knew something was wrong with Aunt Sue. I hurried into her room and saw her tightly hugging herself, her once charming eyes now filled with terror. I immediately approached her, feeling immense pain at her state. I sat beside her, gently pulling her into my arms, trying to offer her the greatest comfort. "Aunt Sue, it's me, it's okay now." I spoke as gently and steadily as I could, even though I could feel her trembling. Her shoulders shook repeatedly, accompanied by sobs. "Xiao Yi, I can't sleep alone," she said softly, her voice trembling and fragile. I nodded, understanding her fear and unease. "Okay, Aunt Sue, I'll sleep with you," I said, my voice gentle yet firm. She looked up at me, her once bright eyes now seemed a bit vacant, but the gratitude and dependence reflected in them made my heart tremble. I slowly lay down, inviting her to snuggle in my arms. Her fingers tightly grasped my hand, as if seeking a sense of security. In the dim light, her figure appeared exceptionally enchanting, draped in a layer of mysterious and soft glow. I could sense her faint fragrance, a unique aura of a mature woman, both gentle and slightly alluring. Our breaths gradually intertwined. We gazed at each other, and Sue's eyes, once filled with fear, now held a soft and complex glow, as if exploring something, or perhaps telling me something. I couldn't help but hold her tightly. My heart raced violently, each beat proclaiming my affection for her. She no longer shrank back. Our distance shortened until we could feel each other's breath, warm and rapid. At that moment, time seemed to stop. Our world was left with just the two of us. I gently placed my hand on her cheek, feeling her warmth. Her skin was like the most precious silk, soft and warm. Then, our lips drew closer, initially hesitant and shy, as if testing each other's boundaries. But soon, we both released the repression and desire in our hearts, and the kiss became passionate and heartfelt. We intertwined under the light, not just a physical merging, but a collision and fusion of souls. Our movements became natural and unrestrained, so fitting and harmonious, each touch carrying a special sentiment and power. We explored each other, although we both knew the uniqueness and complexity of this relationship. At that moment, we chose to heed the call from deep within our souls. In that deep night, we shared an indescribable time, filled with passion and warmth, the most genuine expression and connection from the depths of our hearts. We knew the subtlety and uncertainty of this relationship, but in that special moment, we chose to embrace each other tightly, feeling this special bond and warmth. In the days that followed, we had clearly become a couple. The time we spent together was filled with mutual understanding and dependence, like a binary star rotating under a foreign sky, weaving countless beautiful and sweet memories. 4 years flew by, and I finally graduated, ending my study abroad journey with excellent results. I can vividly remember the moment we embraced to say goodbye. Aunt Sue's eyes were filled with comfort and expectation as she urged me to be strong, to be brave, and to work hard for our future. After returning to my homeland, I found a well-paying job and began my career. Every small success, every hard-earned reward was backed by our shared dreams and expectations. I never thought of seeking another partner because my heart only held Aunt Sue. She is my faith, my source of strength. Although we couldn't meet every day, our hearts remained tightly connected. We shared our daily lives through video calls, planning our future together. Our love was both deep and quiet, transcending the limits of age and distance, becoming an inseparable part of us. I knew that one day I would confess our relationship to my mother. I imagined that moment, standing in front of my mother, hand in hand, heart to heart. I believe my mother would understand and respect our choice because love knows no age or status. It only cares whether two hearts treat each other sincerely and are willing to give for one another. Time passes like this, and every day we work hard for our dreams. I know that in the near future, I will marry her, and we will walk hand in hand through the rest of our lives, because we are truly in love, we are destined partners, and we are each other's home.